Oh, that's muted.
Oh, there it is. All right, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, I can hear you just fine too. All right. Sorry, I was running late. I got like headphones and stuff, and I was trying to like double record, like double audio, so I have redundancy on everything. So I can
Oh,
make
that's
sure.
a good idea.
And I was like, oh man, and I couldn't find a cable. Like I thought my kid had taken my tripod, and
Yeah.
so
I have two microphones and like I hardly ever use this one, so I don't know how it sounds.
yeah, it
I-
sounds
I've
okay.
had I've had it for a while, so I was like, I might as well use it. And then I was like, oh, and then I'd figure out my headphones plug into my mic, and I was like, well, I'm running out of USB ports. And
Yeah, tell me about it. That was my big thing. I got this new mic and it was like USB-C, and I have kind of an older Mac and it has a Thunderbolt. I didn't know what version Thunderbolt it had. And I'm like, do I have to buy an adapter now? Luckily I didn't, but man, it's just
they don't make it
all right.
easy.
Yeah, no, it doesn't. And when you are new to this, it's kind of overwhelming.
Yeah.
Like you just yeah, I just don't know like I don't know what I need. I know like the last one I did it sounded okay, but I kind of felt like sounded like I was in a like a tube or a tunnel.
Yeah.
And Gary
You don't
sounded
know what you don't know until you do it, right?
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. And I didn't have headphones, so I couldn't like hear myself talk. I had no idea. So I had taken some notes on you. You had given me some great information at the very beginning, and I'm since I'm recording another view with my phone,
Yeah.
I don't have access to those. So I'm gonna
Yeah.
try to go on what I remember. So I- am we're live, we're recording. So Bill Keays
Yes, sir.
is my guest, right? If remind 506 signs, is that right?
506 signs. Yeah.
506 signs. So and remind me of the town that you're in because you're almost as east as you can get on this continent.
Almost. Yeah. So I'm in
Almost.
Fredericton. I'm in Canada. So I'm in Fredericton, New Brunswick, which is the capital of New Brunswick, but we're on the East Coast. So
Right,
for all the Americans, I'm above Maine.
right.
So the Maine border is hour and a half away from me,
Okay. Yeah. When you said that you were an hour ahead of me, I went, wait, there's something ahead
further
of
away.
East Coast time in
Yeah.
on North America. And I guess I didn't realize that you were in Canada. So that's
Yeah.
why I was
There's
like, what?
not many. Well, I don't know if there's any in the group from Canada.
Right, right. I don't think so. I mean, I think there are a few on the Rap IQ, maybe. There's a couple of you
Maybe.
guys, maybe. I know I met somebody. Oh, maybe I'm thinking. No, I think I met somebody. It was like in an Avery class, and he was from Canada. I don't. Maybe he's not in Rap IQ. I'm not sure.
Well, there's not
Um,
very many Avery certified installers because
yeah,
it's all American,
yeah, that's true. Yeah, and
right? So
Yeah, he was from. He's like just like north of North Dakota, like in the middle of nowhere. I don't remember.
okay.
Yeah, he was like, I'm literally in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
Well,
Well,
you're
once you
doing
get,
something
I
right.
mean, Canada's big, right? So
Mm-hmm.
there's not a lot of people. We have 36, 37 million people in the whole country,
Yeah.
right? It's the second largest landmass or country in the world. So like it's you get out there and it's pretty sparse in some areas.
Yeah. And being I'll call myself a stupid American, you just, as an American, there's not a lot, unless you're close to Canada, you don't like really educate yourself about it or
No, I
any other
mean,
country.
you don't have to. And I mean, I
Mm-hmm.
think Canadians know more about Americans just because we not that we have to, but like even vacationing there, like the currency, like the exchange rate is something you guys wouldn't think about because why would you unless you're going to Canada? But for us, if you bought like even shopping on Amazon, we get half the stuff that you guys have access to. And
Oh,
then
really?
when we have to buy it and ship it over, there's the exchange rate and there's duty and there's all this stuff that you just, you wouldn't have to think about.
Yeah,
We're getting
that
ready to
is
go to
true.
Florida in February and the exchange rate's like $1.41. So $1.41 Canadian for $1 American.
Oh, okay.
It's
That's not
expensive.
great. Yeah, that's
No,
not
it's
great. I mean,
not.
it is already the US is already expensive, so it's
Yeah.
you know that takes a toll as well. Yeah. Yeah, no, we're headed to Mexico in February, which is outside of Cancun somewhere. So a week in the sun. I looked up the
Yeah.
temperature the other day and it was like 72 and it's like 20 here with a foot of snow on the ground. So
Yep. We're oddly enough, we don't have any snow. We have a little bit. We had a warm streak where it rained, like torrential rain, melted all the snow. It was, plus 10 for a while, and now we're back down to the minuses. So
oh
it was minus 27 Celsius, which is like minus 15 or 16
mhm.
Fahrenheit.
Do you guys get a lot of wind? Because you're kind of close to the coast, so you get a lot of that like Atlantic winds.
Comes and goes. As you go further, it like towards Nova Scotia, they get a lot of winds and
Yeah.
more rain and slush and snow.
It's like makes me cold to my bones just thinking about it. You know,
I used to it.
yeah, well, our kids were supposed to go back to school on last Monday and they've been out all week just because we got hit with snow over the weekend
Oh,
and
really?
it was like and we're getting more right now. So like, you know, when the buses can't get to all the kids in the county,
Yeah.
they got to cancel it.
I
So
guess if you don't have the infrastructure to get rid of the snow, then
mhm.
what do
Yeah,
you do, right?
yeah, and like where I am, like you know, I'm in the Cincinnati area, so it's not as bad. Like people in Tennessee or people like in South Carolina or you know further south. I lived in Alabama for you know a few years in another lifetime, and they saw an inch of snow and like everything shut down.
Oh,
I
yeah.
mean, it was like, and I mean shut down.
Well,
Nobody
people
went
can't
anywhere.
drive either, right?
Exactly.
If you've never driven
Exactly.
on snow before, hold on. Just stay
Yeah.
home.
Yeah.
It's a whole
Yeah.
different ball game.
Yeah. Well, I feel like we could probably talk about like where we're from and what the weather's like, you know, for you know all day. But I don't think people are gonna really care too much about that too much, especially if they can't chime in. So the whole point of this is to find out a little bit about you, kind of who you are, what you do, um, how long you've been in the game, how you got there, where your plans are going. So tell me a little bit about yourself. You said, you know, 506 signs. And then you have your a little side bit. I can see the CNC bits
Yeah.
CA up behind you
Yeah.
and stuff like that. So just tell me, like, how did you tell me about a bit like where you're at now? And then we'll backtrack a little bit.
So right now I am partner in 506 Signs, which is just a small, I'm gonna call it a sign shop,
Okay.
here in Frederickson. So we do wraps, we do basically everything. So our population is not large enough to sustain like a specialty shop, right? So yeah, we do wraps. I'm 3 and preferred. I'm Avery CWI as well. Um, Wraps are one of the things, and it's one of the bigger things we do. But we also do large format printing, right? We have the printer, so we try to utilize the printer as much as we can just to generate income. So there's a lot of signage. Bought a little bucket van this year, so we're doing a lot of outdoor exterior signage, interior signage. Have a CNC, it's one of my passions. So I use that as much as I can to make things interesting, some dimensional lettering, 3D carvings, whatever I can to keep that thing going and pay for itself. So it's just a small shop. It's myself. I have 3 employees. Slowly growing. This is my 4th or 5th year as partner.
Okay.
So I have a partner and he's pretty much silent. He's just um, he was the owner of the business when I came in. He was going to shut it down due to the circumstances, and then him and I came to an arrangement, and he's like, "If you want to go for it." So
Okay. And so how long was the company around before you came to it?
9 years. I
Okay.
think this is year 9, and we changed names when I came on board.
Okay.
Just to
So you're looking at nine total or nine plus
9 total.
nine total. Okay. Okay. And 3 employees. And so, you know, that's where I got my start. I got my start in the sign industry. Um, so you're doing a lot. So are you doing like a lot of like outdoor, you know, backlit, you know, that kind of thing as well? Or do you kind of stick more to,
Smaller. So like
okay.
I have the bucket truck, So it's opened up a lot of doors in that realm to do that stuff. But again, the bucket truck is great, but it's only a small one man, like 32 foot. And it kind of gets you in more trouble than you think, because it's good. It holds one person. It'll get you up there, but some stuff's just too big. Like we can handle some smaller backlets, and we do, but you get into something that weighs 100 pounds and is 20 or 30 feet long. You're not doing that with a one man little bucket truck. Um, so we try to accommodate whatever we can, but we try to be reasonable as well. I don't want to get in situations I'm not comfortable with. But
Right. Do you
signage
go ahead.
here is, mm, I don't want to say that wraps aren't popular, but um, there's only so many wraps in a small town. Like my town has 60,000 people. Uh, I can tell when there's a new wrap in town.
Oh, okay. So are you the main, like, would you be the main source of vehicle wraps, or,
Um,
mobile marketing, we'll call it, or do you
there's a
have,
few.
some heavy competition?
There's a few. There's definitely competition. I would say that we're probably the main
Okay.
shop in town. Definitely the highest quality. I think you have to say that, right?
Yeah, you have to say that.
But I mean, there's every town, every city. There's probably three main cities in New Brunswick. Each one has a handful of decent shops, and there's decent shops in the next city over.
Mhm.
But in town, I'd say that we're probably the main one.
Yeah. So when you're doing your business, if you're doing signs or vehicles, what's your typical, I guess, week look like? I mean, are you wrapping, one car a day plus, exterior signages and stuff like that? Or I said, what did I say? One a day, one a week?
Yeah, no, we're not doing one a
Or
day.
yeah, not that's not what I meant. One a week. Um, or are you, how are you, what are you guys like? I mean, there's four of you essentially. And if you're taking care of a lot of the admin stuff, or sales or something like that, then you're not going to be in there all the time, obviously.
So the way it's set up right now is I'm the lead installer, so I'm the one with the experience. I'm the one that's been doing it. So I do have a junior installer, let's call him. He's also the production guy. So he
Okay.
can handle a majority of the wraps or installs. So anything large murals, color changes, full wraps, that's on me. He can handle, you know, decent size partials, might have to give him a hand with the bumpers and stuff like that.
Mhm.
Um, Typical signage installs. And then I have a lead designer who's also kind of my right hand, and she does a lot of the admin, estimating, scheduling, and then I have a junior designer who's he floats around as needed. He does some decent design work and then jumps into production as we need him.
So when you, so what you had sent me some information, you said you got three in preferred a while
Yep.
ago, right? So you've been three in preferred for like 12 years or something like that.
Yeah.
Is that right?
So 2012, I believe.
Yeah, about 12, 13
So
years.
it was the second class, the second availability offered in my area.
Okay.
So I missed the first one because I didn't know about it. Um, and I went to the second one. Yeah. So it was,
And are those your only two certs?
yeah.
Yeah. Do you find that those help you with your business? Do they give you an edge above your competition? Like, are the other guys in your town like kind of got the same thing going on, or
No,
do people even care about that? What do you think on your?
they do and they don't. So the 3M certification, like before I was partner here, I was just an installer. I was just for the last, before that, 4 or 5 years, I was just a solo installer.
Okay.
I was going around contracting. So the 3M certification definitely helped because you're on the list, right? You're getting calls. You're getting jobs from away. The Avery, I haven't seen. I've only been Avery certified since last February. I went to ISA and got it done. Um, Not at ISA, but Avery, I haven't seen anything. But as far as like anyone really caring, some people do. I find it's more of a selling feature if you're talking to municipalities or like governments or people that kind of want a little bit more than just going to a local sign shop, right? If you're going to be doing the emergency vehicles, you can always throw it out there. Listen, 3M preferred, we're using 3M vinyl, we're using 3M 680 CR. Like, it gives them more information. The regular customer, for the most part, I don't think they really care. More the end product, right?
Right. Right. Yeah. I guess that's what I've been finding that out myself. Like last year I took a lot of certification classes. Well, I won't say a lot. I got one more cert and did the advanced Avery CWI, which was awesome. I want to say, did I do something else? I don't know if I did anything else. I had a cert, I think the year before that. Oh yeah, I got my 3M cert like the winter before. So like winter of 2023. And it definitely is nice to have those. I would have all of them. I mean, I
I
joined
would totally do it.
I had to join PDAA not too long ago just so I can literally go get those, the architectural stuff for Dynoc and all that kind of stuff, Lifeless. Like it's good to have so that way you're knowledgeable about it. I'm just now looking into Avery architectural window film,
Yeah.
and other areas as well, just because I'm not sure if our area has a market for that. There are plenty of temp places, but I have no idea about like, what it is with vehicles or buildings or things like that. So
I would personally, I would take whatever I could get. Like, it's just the confidence to have it. Like, it's funny because I got asked to quote on a large job on Monday or Tuesday. I'm still kind of debating on it. It's a large exterior Dynoc job. And I'm not a Dynoc installer. I've touched it 3 or 4 times. I've done some doors, but this is exterior on metal panels, and I don't have a lot of experience, right? But it's not a very common thing in my area. Like, you're not going in and doing hotels. I've heard stories of guys doing, 300 doors in Dynoc, and that doesn't happen here. So, like, but having that certification or experience, this would be a much easier process for me to even debate if I want to do it or not. But the reality of the situation is there's nobody here to do it. I'm the only 3M preferred installer in my city. There might be 5 or 6 in the whole province. So they reached out to me because I'm in town. So I'm still debating on it. And I was talking to Matt Ferg today. Is that his last name?
yes, sir.
Right. Just to reach out to somebody who has a little bit more experience than I do. But yeah, I would take all the if it was easier for me here in Canada to go get more certifications, I totally would.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess it being kind of far away, that's I've always said that, in my personal experience, Avery has the best trainers and 3M has the best facility when it comes to
Yeah.
training. Like going to St. Paul and training at that facility is it's top notch, like for sure. Which is really, really great. I mean, I think I've been there twice now, which is awesome. But the trainers at Avery, dude, they're second to none
Yeah.
in my eyes, in my opinion. So um, I just want to learn as much as I can possibly learn. Like I want to learn how to do it. But now, you transition into the business side of it. Like, all right, like I can put a sticker down, but how do you run a business?
Well, I mean, and that's the thing. Like, me getting more certifications doesn't necessarily advance the business anymore, right? Because I'm at the point now where I am slowly trying to remove myself from doing installs because the more time I'm spending doing installs, the less time I'm doing everything else. Like today, my production guy was off, and I had scheduled one small install for myself, and it was a fire emergency vehicle, and it was reflective, and I just like to do it because reflectives can be temperamental. Uh, and then somebody came in a couple of doors down, and he has like an upfitter business, and they're like, "I've got these 2 cars. Can you do them? I can drop one off later this afternoon." I'm like, "Yeah, sure." He dropped off 2. So I ended up spending the whole day just doing installs when I had planned on, just getting that one done and moving on with my day and kind of doing some admin stuff and some business stuff that, it needs to be done. But here I am, a sucker for punishment.
Yeah, it's kind of a good problem to have, but may catch up with you on the back end.
Well, I mean, I hate turning things down or pushing it into next week and then screwing up my next week's schedule. So it was if I can get it done, let's get it done. But
Yeah, so when you started, did you immediately start as a freelance, or I'll say freelance installer just because, whatever. Have you always been working for yourself, or did you start in a sign shop or with somebody else? Like
I,
how did you go, I'm gonna like this is what I want to do, or did you just like stumble into it like a lot of us do?
I didn't stumble. My parents had a shop.
Okay.
So they basically, uh, in 1995, my dad got laid off. And one day he came home and my mom came home after a trade show and they said, we bought a printer. And I was like, okay, I would, great. And they bought like a 36-inch NCAD. And my dad basically started a business in our basement. And now looking back on that, I'm like, how did he start a business with 36-inch water-based printer? Like that was it. That was it. It was just a printer and some bond paper. And he started a whole business from it. So that was in 95. I was still in high school and I graduated high school. I went to school to be a mechanic and I had moved out of town. I was living in Halifax, Nova Scotia, which is like 4 or 5 hours away. It's like even more east. And I was living with my girlfriend. I was a second year apprentice at a car dealership, and girlfriend and I had split up, and wasn't a big deal. Like we were still living together, but I called home and just said, just gave them the news, blah blah. And my mom called me the next day. And she said, "Listen, our admin just quit. You want to come back home?" And I was like, "Come back home? I don't want to be an admin and answer phones." Uh, so the next day I walked around the garage, talked to all the techs, and basically every single one of them said run away. So so I did. I left and I stopped being a mechanic and I moved home and started working for my parents. And that was probably in 2000. And that's when it started. I started as an admin doing, accounts receivable, accounts payable, answering the phones, doing inside sales, stuff like that. And that's how it all started.
And how many years did you do that before you decided, you wanted to get your hands dirty, quote unquote?
I didn't decide. It was just an evolution. It was like a
Yeah.
mandatory. So I was doing the admin stuff, and at the time, I believe it was my mom and my dad, and then I was the admin, and then they had a designer production guy. And he did all the production, and the busier we got, I think I remember at one point it was still water based. It was NCADs. We had two, and it just he got busy. I gave him a hand. And since I was so mechanically inclined and hands on, I just started taking to the production side. And then at one point, it just made more sense for me to take over the production and then hire a new admin. And then that's just where it started. And it just snowballed from there.
So did that, I'm assuming that that business no longer exists, or did it roll into something else?
No, I mean, it lasted quite a while. I mean, that was 2000, whatever. Um, we got up to one point, I think there was about 12, 13 employees. Um, it became like we were quite a large sign shop, and we did again everything really concentrated on, it was more trade show, um, interpretive centers, museums, that kind of thing. That was kind of like our focus. We did wraps, but I mean, we did vehicle wraps. That was all part of it. We had we had an HP, two Mamakis, we had an egg flatbed, CNC table, which is one I still have. But it got too big and then it fell too hard. We had a couple large contracts. Those left, um, ended up laying off a lot of people, and at one point in time they just closed.
What
It wasn't by choice.
right. So was those, had you were those large contracts? Was it something that you guys just couldn't handle a workload? Were you not prepared for that? Or
No, it was just slowly one taken away. Like one, we used to do the city buses. So we're doing the city buses for the three major cities in town. Um, we had a contract with the guy who had the contract for the city buses. And it was like a bidding thing. So every year he had to bid. and he always won, always won. And we were, every year we just kind of get a little bit more. Like we had two printers, now we have, or we had one printer, now we have two printers. We got a bigger laminator to do the buses. And then one year a national company came in and just stole it from them. So all of a sudden, we're doing 10, 15 buses a year, and that's gone. And then we had a contract for uh snowmobiling's big up here. We were doing all the trail signs for the province. So Snowmobile Federation would buy the trail signs from one supplier. We were doing that for years. And then we lost that to a silk screener. Hard to compete with a silk screener. Yeah, and it was just like, we had a whole bunch that were, big contracts that were feeding the machine, and then they slowly just started going down. And all of a sudden you've got all this overhead. We have the AGFA was $100,000 printer, $80,000 CNC, and all of a sudden the work for those machines are starting to dry up.
So what did you do in the interim? So like after, I mean, or did you see it coming? Were you like did you prepare yourself, or was it just like, oh God, now I got to start, doing work elsewhere, or making a name for myself outside of this, or whatever? Like
Well,
how'd you deal with it?
I it was probably after that, after we had laid off, the employees, some employees, um, I saw the writing on the wall. So I mean, I wasn't an owner. I was the son. I was the production manager. I pretty much ran everything. And I just had that feeling like there was always a lot of talk of me getting some ownership, like being part of the company. Um, and it just never came to fruition. And basically I felt like if I didn't do something different, then my parents were either gonna go to business or sell the company to somebody. So I left. I got an opportunity to go out west. So that's like in the oil patch here in Canada. And I took it. And so I gave my notice, and that was it.
So you switch careers. Sounds like, right?
Kind of, yeah. Yeah. I kind of just decided was enough was enough. It was time for a change.
And then just decided at one point, and then at one point you came back to. So what was it that you said, you know what, I want to go back to doing, you said, you mentioned your CNC machine, that you said that's something you have a passion for. So
Yeah.
was that something that like led you back into essentially the sign business and doing wraps and things like that? Or was it something completely different?
Well, basically, I was out there, and I was probably out there for 4 months. And then I can't remember what year it was, but oil prices tanked. And then everybody in the oil fields got laid off, right? If you weren't essential worker or something like that. So I got laid off. So now I'm back home, and my parents were still running their shop. Um, I got home, and I'm like, well, my job there was gone. Not that I wanted it. And it's like, well, what can I do? And it's like, well, I always enjoyed installing. I was always good at it. They had somebody to install, but not at my level. Um, and I was at the time, I think I was this only the second three preferred installer in the province. Um, so I just decided to start installing.
So when you guys started, you said when you guys started, you were in high school when your parents got started. So lay this out for me, because there's a lot of young kids out there that are going, I've met a couple of them at the Avery. Like there are a few of them that are just like, man, they're heavy hitters at 21,
Yeah.
22 years old, and they're laser focused and they're ready to go. But then
Yeah.
at the same time, same side of the coin or opposite side of the coin, I know some 21, 22-year-olds that got into the game, they kind of stumbled into it and they don't know what the hell they're doing.
Mm.
So kind of lay that out for me. You were in high school, you came into it, you go away, you come back. Like what was your mentality when you finally decided, this is what I'm going to do? And how old were you when you decided like, this is what I'm going to do? I'm going to put my head down and I'm just going to kick ass at this.
Well, I think there's a difference. So when I when I got into it, like meaning when I got into the sign shop and I started doing production, like there wasn't a wrapping wasn't a thing. Like there wasn't color changes. Like we didn't get our first vinyl printer. Like we're in the East Coast of Canada, so we're like 5 years behind everywhere else. So by the time we got a vinyl printer to print on vinyl instead of printing on paper, because before that we were printing on paper. Like the rap industry here wasn't a thing. So when I got into these things, I didn't get into them because I was like, oh, this is cool. This is more like what's the next step? Like this is evolution. What do I need to do? It's like, what do I need to do just to get stuff done? Like we're gonna print on vinyl now, so now I have to learn how to put on vinyl. Like that was it. Like I'm the guy that has to learn how to do it. There was no internet watching YouTube videos. It was like I have to learn how to do this. And I remember screwing stuff up left and right, learning the process because there was nobody to show you. There was, but you like it wasn't like now where you can just go online and click some button. So it's different, I find now. The younger guys that are getting into it see the possibilities and see the outcome and see they have a passion for it, where 20 years ago it was just necessity. Like I just evolved with my surroundings in order to survive. Like
Survival. I was thinking that
yeah,
exact word.
like
I'm glad you said it.
yeah, like that was it. This was my job, and I'm going to do my job the best I can, and this is how I'm going to move forward. So when I came back to install, it wasn't, this is what I'm going to do. Like, I'm going to kick ass. It was more like, what can I do with my skill set to provide an income for my family? Like, what am I going to do? I can install. So let's start doing that. And I knew I wanted to do something on my own because realistically, in the last 25 years, 30 years, I've had, you know, I've either worked for my parents or worked for myself. I've had a couple of small jobs here and there, but I've always been somewhat self-employed. So, being employed full time, working for somebody else just wasn't super appealing.
So would you consider your parents, how do I put this? Do you think that your parents did a good job of like mentoring you and like leading you away, like leading you around, or did you look outside of your family for mentorship and advice and things like that?
I mean, I guess it depends what you want to say of mentorship. Like there was nobody there to show me how to do things because nobody knew,
Mm-hmm.
right? Until I went to the 3M training, I was just making stuff up, right? Like I knew I was here and I had to be here, right? Like I had a roll of vinyl and I had a car, and then that had to go on the car, and that was it. Um, there was, making phone calls to my suppliers and doing stuff like that, but I didn't have a mentor per se to say like, you're holding your hand wrong, you're holding your squeegee wrong, or you're heating it too much. It was just like trial and error. And for the most part, my parents were just like, go get it done. Like
That's
that's
good.
you. We do this, you do that.
Right.
So, and
So
that's
what's
just my mentality is just
yeah,
whatever I need to do to get something done, we're gonna get it done.
that's good.
So,
That's good. It's not something that you see a lot nowadays. I think a lot of people kind of want their hand held or they're afraid
oh
to make
yeah,
mistakes. I see that.
100%.
I see that all the time. Oh God, I'm afraid to mess up.
Yeah.
And that's part of it. That's how you learn, you know?
And somebody asked me, he's like, how do you do it? It's like, I don't know. Let's go try it. I've never done
Yeah.
it before. Let's go do it.
Yeah. And you can't
Like,
fake it. And
yeah,
that's the thing, right? You can't fake, you say it all the time. You can't fake the squeegee time.
no,
You can't fake, the cutting time. You can't fake the sales. You can't fake it. I mean, you can kind of fake it until you make it. But if you do that and you're not real with yourself, then, who are you kidding? You're only
yeah.
hurting
And
yourself.
the funny thing is, like, I've been doing this for like 25 years. And I bet you there's probably guys out there that have worked full time in a wrap shop for the last 3 or 4 years that probably have more experience than I do laying vinyl. Like if you do it every day, because I don't do it every day. I I can wrap a car, but I might do a full wrap every 2 months. Like I just right, I'm doing other stuff, but it's like my skill set is more like overall, like I'm just a general contracted installer who can do a lot of things well, but nothing exceptionally well.
But that's also, from what it sounds like, that's been your evolution as well.
Yeah.
That's like been your story. I mean, that's kind of who you are. Is I have to learn, like you said it earlier, I have to learn how to do this to survive, to get from point A to point B, because if I don't, I'm going to drown.
Like running a business now, right? It's like
Yeah.
I don't know what I'm doing. I don't have a clue.
Right,
Like,
right, right. All right. So tell me tell me one of the like crazy, like we all have crazy jobs or crazy customers or something like that. So if you have, tell me a story, tell me something. What's the craziest job or craziest customer? If you can talk about a customer or feel comfortable talking about it, like what's that you've ever kind of dealt with? You've been doing this for a long time. Is there anything out there that just kind of just really sticks in your head and just hasn't left you?
not really.
No?
Not really. No, like nothing that I had didn't, nothing that really pops out. I'm sure there's stories that I just can't remember. I mean, dealt with a lot of crazy people, but nothing that kind of sticks out or makes me, I remember a couple years ago it wasn't even a customer, it was just a phone call. And every time somebody calls the shop and says, "Do you wrap cars?" I know that conversation's not going to end well because they want something stupid wrapped, right? Everyone that calls, "You wrap cars?" Well, if you wrap cars, then you can. And then a woman wanted her bathtub wrapped. And for 20 minutes, I explained to her that I wasn't interested and it's not something that we did. And for 20 minutes, she argued with me of why I should do it and how come it was a good idea. And she was nuts. And she wanted it wrapped like a pool, like a blue pool, wavy. And I'm like, I don't want it. But no, I got no bad stories or horror stories. I just keep my head down and get it done. I don't know.
Nothing.
No.
Nothing. All right. Well, that one fizzled. So that's hey, that's okay. That's why this is,
I'm
totally
sure
unscripted.
I'm sure there is, but nothing really sticks out. Like nothing that would, you know, everybody makes mistakes, but you just figured out how to fix them.
So what are your favorite and most favorite and least favorite things that kind of about our industry? What are some of the things that kind of wake you up and get you going in the morning? Like other than survival, like outside of like just gotten to get having to get to the next day and things like that. Is there anything that just really like gets you excited? That you just can't, every day you get up and you're just, God, I can't wait to do this or whatever.
Great. Well, I mean, industry in general, like I just like that every day is different, right? Like it's not that you never know, but every day is different. Like you're always doing something different. You never know what's going to come in the door. You never know what challenges is you're going to be faced with. It's not like a factory job where you're just like clicking buttons and pounding out something. Like one day you could be doing this. I mean, if you're rapping, one day you could be rapping a Jeep. The next day it could be a BMW. It could be color change. Like every day is different. So that's the one thing that kind of keeps me motivated in this space is that you never know what you're going to do. You never know who you're going to be able to help because at the end of the day, that's what we're doing. We're solving problems for people. Um, And if it was monotonous, I probably wouldn't be doing it. And if it wasn't a challenge, then I probably wouldn't be doing it, right? Because every day it's a different challenge. Like a different car pulls in and you need to you quoted it from some photos and it shows up and you're like, man, what did I get myself into? Uh, and for me right now, the what's waking me up every day is the challenge of just running a business. Just the and it's what it is. It's a challenge and it's work and you only get what you put in. And that can be said for a lot of things.
Any kind of big mistake that you've made over the years that that has totally changed the way you do things or changed the way that your day to day or even your mental process, where you go, God, I'm never doing that again, or I'm going to make sure that this X never happens again because it cost me, Y.
I think it's more accumulation of things, like not one thing. I'm sure at the time it seemed wrong, but like it's just accumulation of small things that you always know, like, don't do any custom work without taking a deposit. Like the first time you get burned on that, you're like, okay, I won't do that again. Like, don't do large projects without getting a color proof and a sign off. Like, as soon as you do that, I remember wrapping a car one time and we wrap it for a third party. Customer comes to pick it up. We're like, that's the wrong color. And I'm like, I don't know. It's like they sent me the files, I printed it. We didn't color proof. So whose fault is it? It's my fault. So stuff like that. You learn slowly what not to do. Hopefully you don't make a huge mistake that puts you out of business.
That could be it. God, I couldn't even see, I couldn't even think of like what something like that would be. I mean, I've made some pretty bonehead moves in the past or had some, mishaps, but nothing to where it's like I couldn't even imagine something so big to where you literally just like the next day you're just like, well, now I can't function because I got to pay for
Well,
somebody's
and I mean,
car completely or
and
whatever.
it's a risk, right? It's a risk win ratio. Like how big of a risk do you want to take? Like, for example, right now, me quoting on that dye knock job, that's a big risk. Like it's probably 2,000 square feet of exterior dye knock. Like that's a big liability for me. I think I can install it, but am I going to do it right? Is it going to come off? I don't know dye knock,
Yeah.
right? And it's these weird raised panels, like they're flat, but they're recessed and there's a groove inside. Like, am I going to do it right? Like, is it worth the risk? It might be pretty big reward, but like that's a job that if I had to go buy 8 rolls of dye knock, like I might not be able to survive that. So,
Mhm.
risk to reward.
Get a deposit, right?
Well, what if I have to redo it?
Right.
So
It's true. That's true. So where kind of talked about training and certs already. What are your what are your plans for the future? Where do you think that, next 3 or 5 years, in your shop, like what do you think? You doubling your staff? Are you completely going into, sales and ownership? Or, what do you think? Where are you going?
I don't know. I'm not good at planning. This is what I'm getting my butt whipped by a few people. Um, I'd like to grow, but again, I'm not a person that I don't need to be the biggest and the best because, I keep going back to seeing how big my parents have and like 13 employees. Like that's a lot of pressure. That's a lot of weight on your shoulders. Right now, I'm happy. Before I did this, I said I didn't want employees again, and now I do. And we're at the point now where it's like, do I need another person? Like, how do I grow and not put overburden on myself and my business? How big do I want to get? Like, I see the possibilities in some areas. Like, is it worth pursuing? Is it like one of those things where we grow, but we have the same profit? Like, is it worth it? Um, so it's a day-to-day struggle. Like, today I was like, hey, that's a good idea. We could look into that. And I'm like, do I really want to do that? Like, it's 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 a struggle. I don't know. Like I want to be happy. I want to make a profit. I want to have a business that, runs when I'm not there. And at the end of the day, if that's with 4 employees or 6 employees, I don't know if, that's really important to me.
But I think
Yeah.
you just answered the question, right? You said you want to have a company that runs when you're not there. Do you feel
Yeah.
like you don't have that right now, right? Is that
I can
kind of where you're
leave,
at?
right? Like I'm heading to Florida for 2 weeks. Not
Okay.
overly worried about it. Would it survive if I left? Probably not, since I'm the lead installer. Um, right. So that's something that is on my list to accomplish in the next future. Like, do I have the right staff right now to fulfill that? I don't think so. Is there room to grow somebody? Maybe. Uh, can I find somebody else? And where I'm at, my location, like installers don't grow on trees. So
Mhm. Do you have a
not
lot of problem in your area where you'll hire someone, you'll train them 6 months or a year, they'll be with you for a couple of years, and then all of a sudden they go, I can do this, and they hightail it out. And do you have a lot of that, or no? I feel like in our area, it happens all the time.
all the time.
Yeah.
I don't. Luckily, everybody I've hired is still with me. I have a friend who's 3 or 4 hours away. He has a sign shop as well. He goes through that. He's been he's been doing it longer. Um, I mean, he's owned his business for 10 or 15 years, so he's gone through the turnover of people and he's had installers come, go, go open up their own. So I personally haven't, but I mean, I can see it, right? Because I was like, I still do it to myself. Like, we don't do paint protection, or I try not to do chrome deletes and color changes at the office because it's just not profitable. I can do them. I'm like, well, do I want to do them at home? Right. But like I see the appeal. But it's
Oh,
something that the industry's going through.
right, right. All right. So let's, we've been going for about 40 or 50 minutes now. So I want to kind of wind up. I want to talk to you about, you said you're going to Florida,
Yep.
in February. Family vacation,
Yep.
personal vacation, family
Yep.
vacation. So what are some of the ways that you like to unwind? Like what are favorite pastimes, to get your head just out of the business, and what are your passions? What do you do when you're not working?
And I'm not working. Well, I started playing pool again, so that's new for me. I used to play a lot of pool, like eight ball. I stopped probably about 12 years ago when we started having kids. This was a little time consuming, so my kids are a little bit older now. So I started this year the first time. But the other thing is I've got dogs. I love taking the dogs for a walk. I go out, try to wake up every morning around 5 and head out for an hour. But most of the time I'm listening to a podcast or thinking about work or just, I like the time to think just out in the woods with the dogs. It gives you that little bit of time to start your day and kind of think things through when it's quiet. So
Mhm.
I really enjoy that. That's something that my goal for this year is to walk every day and do 2025 kilometers for 2025. So we'll see.
Nice. You say 2,000 kilometers? What is that?
Yeah, it's not as much as miles. So it would sound better if I said miles, but that's not how we
Miles.
operate.
What's your favorite vacation spot you've ever been or want to go, dream to go?
I'm not a big traveler. See, the only reason we travel is because my wife. She's always gone to Florida every year as a kid, and I'd never been until we got married. Um, I'd like to go to Europe myself, but uh, favorite so far has probably been Dominican.
Okay.
Just relaxing, just no agenda, right?
Nice.
We go to
Very
Florida. This will
nice.
be our fourth or fifth time, and there's always just like trying to get so much in such a small window of time.
Yeah. Do you have a like dream car? Like if you could have anything ever that you've ever wanted in a motor vehicle, what would it be?
I'm pretty simple. I like Jeeps, right?
Okay.
I've been a Jeep guy my whole life. I'd probably have one of the new 392 Wranglers. But
And actually use it as a Jeep,
oh
off-road it
yeah, oh yeah,
instead of
no,
instead of
yeah,
keeping it on the pavement like so many people
yeah,
do.
no, it would be scratched. I yeah,
Not
I
not
got
it
lots
would
of
it
stories
wouldn't
about
because you'd
Jeeps.
put paper protection on it. It wouldn't because
Yeah, or wrap it.
you'd
Yeah,
protect it or wrap it. There you go. So it wouldn't
yeah.
be that scratch. I mean, you got to protect things when you buy them yourself.
No, that's very true. Yeah.
You gotta do it. Um, all right, last we'll kind of wrap up the last thing. So I told you that kind of toward the end, I wanted to do like just a set of quick fire questions, like no thinking,
Yep.
no, just first thing that pops into your head. And I was kind of stupid. I'm calling this segment, and if someone wants to edit something in, it's time to get torched. So
Okay.
figured that was appropriate. All right. So I think I probably have, I don't know, 5 or 6 or 7. I don't know. I'm just going to go down the list. So, what's your favorite brand of film to work with?
Probably 3M.
Okay. Favorite squeegee and buffer combo?
Oh man, I really like. I've got one from Yellow Tools, and it's one of the interchangeable double-sided ones. I don't know if you know what I mean. It's got like a
I
magnetic
think I've, I
core, and you can
think I've
change
seen
the
them.
ends. So I'd like to have a Teflon side on one side, and then like a super soft that gets green on the other side with a thick buffer on it, and then I can
Okay.
just switch back and forth as I go.
That's nice. Um, Favorite knife?
The NT cutter.
NT. The
Yeah,
the cartridge one?
yeah.
Okay. Uh, and do you have a favorite blade breaker? I know some people do.
My foot.
No, like a blade cage, your foot.
I just step on them. I just put it on the ground and snap it.
Okay. All right. Are you a heat gun or a torch guy?
Heat gun.
All the time?
Most of the time, and just that's the way. Like when I started, you you wouldn't use a torch. You crazy? So I'm
Okay.
slowly getting into the torch, like depending on the circumstance, like if I'm doing a trailer or something like that. But if there's power there, I'm using a heat gun.
Yep. Brand, do you have a favorite brand? Peak gun? Like what's your go-to?
I
No,
don't. I just
just
whatever's on the shelf,
whatever gets hot.
whatever's on
Okay.
sale. We just buy three of them.
All right. What are you reading right now? Anything?
Dichotomy of Leadership by
Dichotomy.
Jacko Jocko Willix.
Jocko. Yeah, okay. I've
Yeah.
read that one a couple years ago. Um, Favorite movie of all time
Oh, man.
or top three because it's hard for me to
Probably
narrow them down.
probably the Matrix.
Did we just become best friends? I love that. I love that series. It's a great series,
Yeah, I probably watched it 30 times.
and it holds up. It holds up. I
Yeah,
watched it a couple years ago, and
I
I was like, man, this movie holds up.
I still watch it.
Really good. Okay, last one. When you're rapping, what are you listening to?
Podcasts. I devour a ton of podcasts. So
Do you have a favorite
whatever.
podcast
No, I've
that
gone
like you
through.
can't miss? Like as soon as it comes out, you're listening to it.
I go through them so fast. You know what? I was really into Rap IQ until they stopped making them. I must have.
Damn you, John.
So I went to ISA in February last year.
Mhm.
I took the boot camp with John and Justin, and then in there you get the little stickers, and it was a Rap IQ, and I didn't think anything of it. And I think when I got home, I started going through stuff, and I was like, I wonder what that is. And I must have listened to the whole podcast and like right from the start. And I just went two, three a day, whatever, and it took me a month to go through, and all of a sudden it stopped. I'm like. I was looking at the date of the podcast and where the date we're at. I'm like, I got tons of podcasts left, and then it just stopped. I'm like, no. So yeah,
Pretty much it. Well, your next one is going to be this, but it's
yeah.
only twice a month, so you're going to not know what to do with yourself.
The thing is,
Um,
like, I consume. I've been listening a lot to Andy Frisella, so I actually started right from the very first.
okay.
Um, and started, way back when he started the MCO podcast. But
Yeah, he's a little intense for me. I like him. I like some of his stuff, but there are some of his stuff, man. He gets really really
he gets
intense.
into it, yeah.
Yeah.
And then I listen to some I'm really into, and then some I just go to the next one.
Mhm. Yeah. I got into what was it? A long time ago when Serial came out. If you ever listened to the Serial podcast, they did like God, it was years and years and years ago. I don't even, produced podcast, and it was a whole series about this guy who was, you know, what they say was, wrongfully convicted of a murder, like in
Oh,
Baltimore
okay,
or
I've heard of that
whatever.
one. Yeah.
And that started me on those for a long time. And then they did the same thing. They had this big long series, and then all of a sudden it went away because they were producing the next one, and then the next one wasn't near as good as the first one. And then they would give updates on the first season and all that kind of stuff. And now it's like when like I can't. The only time I can listen to podcasts, I feel like, is in a car. That's it.
Yeah. Because you need to I listen to a lot of audiobooks as well, and you need to intake it. Like sometimes it's just background noise. Sometimes like I'll listen to something two or three times just to get it because like just glaze over.
Yeah.
Another podcast I listen to is RPO too. I don't know if you've heard of them, the Real Business Owners Podcast. Should say
Oh
that.
yeah, yeah. Okay.
So again, that's one of the ones I started at the very beginning,
Yeah.
and I've done it.
Yeah. I need to start listening to Rap On too with Scott Decker.
Yep. Yeah, I was listening to that today. I
Yeah, I
was
listened to. I think I listened to the first one. And I was like, but again, I'm not in a car. I have a 15-minute drive to work, a 15-minute drive home,
yeah, me too.
and unless I'm traveling or something with my kids, like soccer, whatever it is, like I'm just not listening to them. And then I get the Dad, can we not listen to a podcast or a book while we're in
Yeah.
the car? So
Yeah. Well, like I said,
gotta do that.
I walk a lot. So, an hour a day I'm listening to something. And I try to make it, somewhat educational.
Yeah, yeah, that was the best time. I think a couple years ago I got up and did a walk every morning, and I listened to Rap IQ. That's how I've finished the Rap IQ in less than a month or less than 2 months or whatever, because I was listening to it so much. And but I don't walk as much now. I'm just in the gym, and when I'm in the gym, I got to listen to music
Right.
because
You get
again,
motivation. You don't
I
want
got to
some
yeah,
couple
yeah. I don't want
guys
to be
yakking in
listening to
your
something and
ear.
trying to educate myself about
Yeah.
something, and then trying to count how many reps or whatever I'm doing. Like
Yeah.
What did I just lift? What did I just do?
Well, it's funny because I find that's the difference now. Like we were kind of talking about, like kids coming in, like there's just so much information out there. Like
Mhm.
whatever you want to learn, like there's just so much out there. And that's one of the things. It's a good thing, and sometimes it's a bad thing in the industry. Because I had a guy come in today with a helmet, wanted to buy some holographic film because he had bought some on Amazon, and he couldn't get his helmet to wrap. I'm like, you're not wrapping the helmet in that. He's like, you guys don't have any? I was like, watch a guy on YouTube do it. Looked pretty easy. I'm like, it's not gonna happen, buddy.
You can do it in stripes. You
Well,
can
I see. Do it in pieces, use it
yeah,
for
do it in
accents.
pieces.
Like,
Yeah.
it's like you're not gonna wrap your helmet in that. And it was a motocross helmet, so it wasn't like round. It was round with sharp edges, and it's like, sorry, I don't have any.
Yeah. Yeah. You may have watched this video and it may have looked cool for about 10 seconds.
Yeah,
And then as soon as they turned the video off,
it popped
an
out.
hour later,
Yeah,
everything was looked like
yeah,
crap. So trust me, that's how the internet works.
yeah. That's what I
You
mean.
know?
Like, there's good information and there's bad.
And I feel like a lot of people they take the bad well because that's like that's the internet. There's something to back up everything, right?
Yeah,
The world is round, the world is flat. There's information for both.
whatever you want to find, you're gonna find.
Exactly,
Yeah,
exactly, and it's good and it's bad at the same time.
yeah.
So I'm always telling my kids the same thing, like, oh, how do I whatever? I'm like, you literally have a computer in your pocket. Like, look it up.
Mm-hmm.
You don't need
Yeah,
me. And if you try to look it up and you actually try and you still can't figure it out, I'll
yeah. Like
teach you something.
try,
Yeah.
right? And they don't even know what try means.
Yeah.
So, put some effort into it. Like, so I know
Can you go
I've got
find
a
this? No. Yeah.
I've got a couple teenagers, so it's ongoing battle.
Yeah. My oldest one's going to be 13 next month. So wish me luck.
Yeah, a girl or boy.
I got two girls.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. 13. Well, nearly 13 and just turned 7.
yeah.
So,
My daughter's 15, my son's 13, and I got a 7-year-old too.
yeah.
So they're fun.
Yeah. Yeah. Kids are the future.
Yeah.
That's, you want to kill them one day, but the other day you just want to hug them,
No, I mean,
you know.
having them kind of spread, and maybe you found the same way, is like, so my youngest is third or 7, but it just brings it all in perspective. Like the kids are older. He's still, I mean, he's not a toddler anymore, but you just kind of appreciate it more because it flies by so fast.
Mhm.
And now, like, I'm in that point in my life, and probably you are too. And I'm just like, whatever you guys want to do. Like, if my personal time is now being sucked into, like, what are we doing? Like, I coached baseball last year, 2 teams. I was on the field 6 days a week. Like, there's no personal time anymore. It's like
Yeah.
whatever. Like we're in kid mode. So
Yeah. Yeah. I find myself doing that. I try to as much as I can with the whole new business venture for me, doing this and then, trying to get started on my own, doing other things. It's a lot of my time is, it's kind of me time because it has to be me time because, I got to make sure that this is going to work.
yeah,
This is going to be successful. Where a lot of
yeah.
people do this, at a much younger age, and, and make it happen while the kids are younger or even or non-existent.
Hmm.
But the good thing is, they're old enough to kind of understand, like, all right, like I got to come home and I got to work like a couple more hours. But as soon as I'm done, like, I'm going to give you all the attention I can.
Yeah. Oh
Still
yeah,
try to make
definitely.
sure we're cooking dinner every night, eating dinner every night together and things like that, and spending time with them on the weekends and everything. So, but yeah, it's hard. It's definitely, that work-life balance, you just gotta, go with the ebbs and flows. I try to manage it and my wife does a really, really, really good job of keeping me in check and making
Hmm. Oh
sure
yeah.
that, giving everyone the attention that they need, including, herself and myself, like giving you enough space, do I have me time, that kind of thing. Um, so it's definitely it's challenging but it's fun, I wouldn't have it any other way.
No,
So
it's hard too for a driven person because I'm the type of person I'll just put my head down and get something done. So
mhm.
if that means I've got to stay up till 12 or come home, not eat supper, go in the basement, do some work, like I'm not like that as much anymore, but I was for a while, and it wasn't healthy. It wasn't healthy for anybody. But sometimes you need to do what you need to do, and then sometimes you get past that, and you're on to the next phase.
Yep. Yep. All right, man. Well, let's wrap up. So I appreciate you taking the time. It is about 8 o'clock where you are now. So
Yeah,
it's if it were 8 o'clock here, it'd be bedtime for me.
9 o'clock is bedtime for me, so 5 o'clock
I'm
comes
getting
early.
I'm getting too old to stay up past 9 or past 10 anymore. New Year's was a challenge.
I was in bed at 10 o'clock.
Yeah, 12:30 and I was out. So
I
uh
normally laid I put our little guy to bed. Um, and we've always laid down with him, so we just whatever. Like he's the last kid. I'm gonna do whatever he wants. So I'll fall asleep. 7:30. Like he wants to lay down, I'm done. Like that's it.
yeah,
I'll get up,
yeah.
brush my teeth, go to bed again. But like after that, like you can't fight it.
Hmm. Yep.
Getting too old to
Yeah,
fight that.
yeah, you got to get your 8 hours. It's healthy.
Yeah. Well, like I
You know.
said, 5 o'clock comes early.
Yep, that's right. All right, man. Again, I appreciate it. You know, good conversation. I really like it. I hope I can keep doing this. Hope I can keep it up for I got 10 more at least. No, is that right? No. What's 11 times two? That's 22 more.
I was like 10 more. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, my goal is two a month, two a month. So
Yeah,
got
I mean you
22
should
more.
I
Yeah.
mean definitely get to meet lots of people and learn a lot of different aspects of life.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's the goal here. That was a big thing. Last year was doing some search and meeting people, but this year I really, really want to learn learn about the industry and who people are, find out who people are, who's out there, who's doing what. Just network. And I think this is one of the best ways
Well, the
to
thing
go
too
about it.
is the industry is very young. Like a lot of people
Yeah.
don't realize how young like this is all is. Like I mean sign making is older, but raps and vinyl is not old. Or I mean it's not old. Like it's
Mhm.
it's a it's a young industry, right? So it's kind of exploding. So
Yeah. Yeah. And it's only going to get bigger.
yeah, oh
And
definitely.
it's going to get more prevalent. And I think it's if we're not pivoting and we're not making changes and we're not adapting, some of the old hats that have been in the game for a while, like we're just going to get left behind.
Well, and I mean, there's just more and more money coming in too, right? Like as like not so much as a business owners, like not more money coming in as like everybody's gonna have their vehicle wraps. We're not there yet, but there's more money coming in the fact that like there's money in wraps. So there'll be bigger companies and larger, entities and anywhere there's money, there's gonna be people knocking at the door.
Yeah. And paint's not going away. I don't say I got into something like on a forum the other day, but this guy was going, I posted a picture of my guy in a Subaru forum, like, hey, I'd write my car, like, here it is, take a picture of it. It's not white anymore, it's whatever. And the guy was like, I can't believe what people are spending their money on, and
Yeah.
you can do, a decent paint job for twice the cost. And, it's not going to, the wrap's not going to last very long. And I had to just be like, yes, but there's a place for it and give him
Oh
like
yeah.
I'm like, I can't, like, there's still a place for paint, but there's also a place for wrapping. And there are some things that wrapping you can do with big fat stickers that you just can't do with paint. And if you can do them with paint, it's going to cost you quadruple.
Oh man. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, when you're getting into shifts and candy paint and things like that, like, and to get
And
it
there's some
quality.
talented painters out there,
Hmm.
but like that's a premium, right? Like,
Yeah,
have if you want a 35,000 paint job, yeah, it's gonna look great, but $5,000 wrap can do the same thing from 5 feet away.
exactly.
So
Exactly.
I mean, there's some crazy
And
guys out there. Like I would never want to take the responsibility to sand a customer's car down and bondo the, nooks and sand it, wet sand it, and then wrap it. Like customer comes in, like I'm wrapping what you brought. But like that's a whole nother side where people are getting right into that and good for them. Like that's a whole nother league in my opinion.
Yeah, no, it absolutely is. Yeah, there's a lot of that, especially with unlike the paint protection side, with the paint correction and,
Yeah.
ceramic coating and things like that. People, I've had people bring me their car and go, I want it paint protected. I want you to put paint protection film on it and everything like that. But I
It's
want you
eight
to
years
correct the
old.
paint first. Yeah, but I want
Yeah.
you to correct the paint first. I'm like, no, well, that's not how paint protection works.
Right.
Do you want me to ceramic
Yeah.
coat it and paint correct it? Because if that's the case, then I got to send you to a detailer because I don't mess with paint.
No.
But if you want me to put this clear sticker on it, I can do it for you.
Yeah.
And then when we take it off, then you can have it paint correct. So a lot of people don't understand that either. It's
And
like, yeah, I guess you can do it, but why are you going to paint
why?
correct something and then put a sticker on top of it? That doesn't make any sense.
And I don't even mess around with paint protection anymore. Like I've taken a
Yeah.
couple of the 3M training classes, but there's just no market here. It's just the
Mhm.
cost. But now, actually, it's funny because I say that, and then there's more demand now with the price of vehicles going up. I definitely see the demand for paint
Yeah.
protection increasing.
Yeah.
I'm just not set up for it. My shop is not clean enough to, and I don't have the patience for it. I'm used to stuff sticking when I tell it to stick.
Yeah.
I hate fingers rubbing.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm learning more and more about it. I went to expel training a couple years ago. Um, got into it, stopped doing it for a while, started putting, and now like recently, like started putting paint protection film like over top of wraps
Perhaps, yeah,
to, enhance the shine or protect the front ends of them or whatever. Um, which is really, really nice. And there's a little bit more room for error, I guess, if that makes sense. Um, but yeah, there's definitely, but there are a couple different shops in our area that's like that's what they do. They're like one stop shop, and so like you said, they'll dismantle a car,
mm, and
and if it's an older car, they'll sand it down and do all that kind of stuff, and then they'll wrap it and they'll put it back together. And I'm just like, man, I'm not that guy. You want that done? That's
no,
great,
yeah,
but like I'm not gonna, and I don't ever want to be that guy because I don't want to be responsible for your car rattling loose while you're driving it
yeah,
or whatever. Even if I am hiring someone else to do it, there's a part of me that, and that's again, that's a good thing and a bad thing about the internet. All these people, they see the videos of, oh, you got to wrap a bumper, you got to take the bumper off to wrap it. No,
yeah.
you don't have to take it off the car. You
That's
got to take
that's
this
me.
out.
Yeah,
Yeah. So I don't know. It's crazy. So now it's for me, it's one of the first questions I asked is, how much do you want me to take your car apart?
yeah.
Door
No,
handles,
I,
mirrors, we good?
yeah.
Or are you looking for deep coverage and you want to
Yeah.
cover everything?
Well, that's the thing. People's expectations sometimes are not realistic with what they're asking. So, I mean, the first couple of color changes I did, I was taking everything apart. I, you know, have had the front bumpers off of Teslas and Mustangs, and there's a lot of liability when you're dealing with a brand new, $80,000 car and you've got the bumper sitting there. It's like, taking headlights out. If you drop a headlight, it's $1,500. Like it's
Yeah.
all to make, a couple $1,000s. Like, I don't know if it's, and the thing is, like the guys that do it well, and they should.
Mm.
But as like for an overall general sign shop, nah, it's not
No, no. Stick to your commercial wraps.
stick
That's where the
exactly.
money is, man. Stick
That's
to
where
those
the money
commercial
is.
wraps.
Yeah, no, 100%.
All right, man. Any final words?
No, it was
No?
fun. Nice to talk to you. I've seen you around, so
Good. It's good. I'm glad we got to do this. I'm glad I'm getting to do this. So I like talking to people. So I appreciate you taking the time. I think I've kept you long enough. Go home to your family, enjoy your weekend.
well, I am
If
home.
you
I'm in
got
my basement.
Oh, okay. Well, there you
Yeah.
go. So and then if got a little homework, finish our homework for this weekend and we'll see you on Monday.
Yeah. What? Yeah. I'll see you Monday.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have lots of homework. Lots of
All right.
homework.
That's right. All right, man. Take it
All right.
easy. It was
Have
good
a good
talking to you.
weekend.
All right. See you.
See ya.